What is up, guys? My name is BobaTalks and welcome back to a brand new Gotham Season 4 video, and today we have got something quite controversial to talk about because Poison Ivy has been recast. I'm guessing you already know that because you read the title, or you may already know it because you might be kicking and screaming. So this isn't just the first Poison Ivy, it's not the second, but now we've got a third. So I've got some thoughts on this, and I'm not as mad as probably some people out there because it's really hit me in a situation where I don't know what to think because I'm actually quite a big fan. Well, I wouldn't say big fan, but because of frequency, I'm quite a fan of Peyton List, and I do have to admit she does look really like a good casting for Poison Ivy. But on the second hand, don't get me wrong, I love Maggie Geha. I think that's how you say her name, Geha. I'm just going to say Geha. And obviously we were kind of pushed into getting used to her from, Claire Foley. Obviously, we were at the beginning of season 3 given straight away a new Poison Ivy, and we were just like, But she grew on us, and she was great. She was getting really into the roots of her character, and pretty quickly, and I'm sure most people will agree, we pretty much really liked Maggie Geha as Poison Ivy. She played a bit of like a dumb Poison Ivy, and I get why they did that because, obviously she's still quite a young kid, and she was just aged up to be more beautiful and attractive and stuff. But now it seems like Gotham have changed their minds, and I can't confirm, obviously, if this has got anything to do with Maggie Geha wanting to leave, but I highly doubt that's the case. I'm pretty sure she would have been dropped because they have changed their mind yet again. And if there's one thing with Gotham, which is, quite the thing that labeled them as a show in a lot of people's minds, my mind included, and I know other reviewers, I know Juice from the Box says this quite often, is they can't keep their mind. They change their mind all the time, basically. And think how many times they've changed it with Poison Ivy because we've got a third bloody actor. So this is the pretty kind of vague statement they released with the new casting details that Peyton would be taking over the role. And this is what they had to say. In the continuing evolution of Poison Ivy's origin story, Ivy Pepper has been transformed once again, taking another step towards becoming the Ivy we know from the comics. Dangerous, a live wire of crazy energy. She will set her sights on Gotham, intent on making the city her own green paradise. Now, as I said, I'm conflicted because at the same time, I'm not mad because I think Peyton is a great actor. I don't know if any of you watched Frequency. That's actually where I was introduced to her. She was the female lead in that show, and I'm gutted that got cancelled because I really thought that Frequency, the whole of season 1 was stronger than some shows out there, but it didn't get renewed, just mainly due to obviously people not watching it enough. It wasn't exposed enough, but it was, take my word for it, a really good show, better than some shows that get renewed year after year. And honestly, she really does look like a good casting for, Poison Ivy. It's just that obviously in our case, in Gotham and how all us fans feel, we got used to Maggie after Claire, and now we're getting given another one, so we do feel like we're being poked and prodded, and it's just a bit annoying that way, especially as, I know so many people who are really and were really in love with Maggie's Poison Ivy. But now we're yet again forced to move on from that actor, and we're given Peyton. But as I said, this is where I'm stuck because I really like Peyton. So Peyton over Maggie is quite a bit of a bigger actor. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with her character and how much they're going to involve her, because she will be coming back next year. So that's one thing I was going to make a video about before all this news actually came out. I kept getting asked in the comment section over and over again, where is Poison Ivy? Where is Ivy? And my answer to that, and which I was going to come out with a video for, is that, she's off somewhere after taking all those potions, which would have transformed her into the next stage. And I thought that was definitely going to happen. Poison Ivy was going to be much more of a Poison Ivy role in Gotham, but I thought that was going to be Maggie. But no, this actually is going to be a whole transformation in terms of looking different once again. Now, I'm not sure if any of you remember, but a few weeks ago I spoke about what one of the executive producers, Brian Windebrand, I can't remember his second name properly, but he actually spoke about what we had to talk about with Gotham in terms of Jerome and him not even being the Joker and Ivy. And this is what he said, so I'm going to just bring that up again in terms, because it's really relevant to what we're talking about. So Brian was talking about Ivy getting some of her comic book powers. Without saying specifically which ones, I would say it's fair to say that her powers are going to increase and gain in their canonical way. We're not going to go full green, but we are going to transform Ivy in a way that we think the audience won't expect, but that is pushing her along her development to becoming the Ivy that everyone knows from the comic book. So where do I stand on this whole thing, since obviously I'm a fan of both actors, and what do I think about all of this? I think Gotham obviously shouldn't have done this. I think they honestly could have pushed forward with Maggie's Poison Ivy. I don't really see why they had to recast her. I really don't think Maggie just left. I'll eat my words, obviously, if she says, oh yeah, I wanted to do this job or I wanted to do that, but I highly doubt it. Poison Ivy for Maggie as an actor on Gotham is a pretty good role. So as I said, I'm pretty sure that this is, Gotham, the showrunners, deciding to do this and then change the character once again. So I'm going to just say I'm willing to bet that is the case. So obviously, I don't think it was necessary. Maggie was older, she was beautiful, she was attractive, like in a very Ivy-esque way. She could have kept going on after the potions and, got powers. But no, they didn't want to do that. They wanted to give the role to a different actor, one who maybe they thought, I don't really know, this is what I mean. Even though Peyton's a good actor and I'm a fan of her, it wasn't necessary to get her in to fulfill this new post-transformation Ivy from obviously the shop she went into, took the potions, and then obviously she was going to transform and have powers after that. We all knew this was coming after Ivy walked into that shop, and we haven't seen her since. It wasn't necessary to get another actor, but luckily, since they've done it, in my head, it's just like, yeah, I'm still a fan of Peyton, and I really do think like she looks like a smoking Ivy. So obviously it's very, very hard for me to be really mad because Peyton does have a very Poison Ivy look. I'm sure she'll bring a lot to the role, but at the same time, no, yes, I think it was completely unnecessary. And once again, this just proves how Gotham don't know what they're doing all the time, and in an act of desperation sometimes I feel they just rip off their skin and then chuck a new one on, and it's just like, oh, hopefully this will work. And we've seen this so many times before in this show. The most recent one before this kind of is Jerome, and just other things that they just change up and they're just like, oh my god, right, we're doing this now, but in fact it just damages the show. Honestly, it damages the show. So since we're not going to really see Ivy for a little while now, since we're not actually going to see her till next year when Gotham comes back, most likely in January, she'll be in the second half of the season. So where does this leave us with? What the hell are they going to do in terms of explaining this third look of Ivy, a third different unique person to people like Selena? Obviously on the show before, she fell in the sewer after being touched by that freak from Fish Mooney's gang, which aged her up. So then it was kind of like, oh yeah, this happened to me, fair enough, and it kind of made sense as well. Like, I get it, like they brought Maggie in, she's awesome, they wanted to make her older, okay, that was alright. But now they've done it again. Are they really going to go just to Selena and just be like, yeah, kind of drank some other, something else happened to me, and I kind of transformed again, and here I am as a different person yet again. So what I'm trying to say and kind of ask myself and you guys at the same time is, are they just gonna make this an older Poison Ivy? So she's gone from Claire to like Maggie age, and now they're gonna go a few years older to Peyton's age, and are they just gonna say in the canonical way, oh, this is what Maggie would look like in a few years time at Peyton's age, and we're just going to play it throughout the show like that now, and she's going to obviously just still act like Ivy's character? If so, I guess that could work. You could just say comic book logic, this is what Maggie would look like in so many years time, even though obviously they're two different people, so that's not obviously the case. But in terms of TV show, that would work, but it would just be a bit of a pain in the ass having to explain that to Selena and stuff. So I don't know, I'd love to know your thoughts there. Do you think they're just going to pretend like nothing's happened and maybe just explain that something obviously happened in that potion shop, which it did, and as a result of that, it transformed Ivy yet again, and just aged her even more. So she is technically still the same person in the universe, but obviously 3 different actors and human beings have been cast for the role in real life? Or do you think they're just going to actually say, oh, she's transformed into something else entirely and not kind of an evolution of Maggie? But I think that is where they are going to go, because that's just if I was a writer, that would just make the most sense. It just aged her even further and also gave her some powers. But lastly, what we have left to discuss in this video, guys, is that because Peyton is now Poison Ivy and she's coming back in the second half of the season, and judging by what Brian and what they've said in terms of the casting press release kind of thing they said about this, and these are the words they used, that she will set her sights on Gotham, intent on making it her own green paradise or something like that. So I think the fact that Peyton's now cast and she's coming back in the second half, I got a feeling that Poison Ivy will have quite a big, not a massive role, but quite a solid story arc where she's going to come back with powers. She's going to come back, kind of different in terms of, obviously, she's a different actor. But one thing I hope they don't do is, just because she's aged older, that doesn't make her any smarter, if that makes sense. I'm not saying Poison Ivy was dumb in the show, but obviously she was quite uneducated. It's not like Claire went to school or anything like that, and she was a bit younger than Selena, I think. So obviously she aged up and she was still a bit, they made it very obvious in her lines that she wasn't exactly the brightest of the bunch. But what would annoy me, and it would be quite a pet peeve of mine, is that just because they've aged her again and cast her again, that she would just suddenly be smart. She suddenly wouldn't be speaking the same, because if it is just due to aging, and obviously now she's got a bit of powers as well, she wouldn't really act any different. So if they do that and she's just completely normal Poison Ivy in terms of like what we've seen in other iterations, rather than what we've seen before on Gotham with Claire's character and Maggie's character, and how they kind of maintained how she was young in the mind but obviously older in body, then that would be a bit ridiculous, because drinking potions doesn't actually mean you've been educated several years all at once, So I don't know. Let me know what you think of that as well in the comments down below. But other than that, guys, that is all I've got to say in this video. Let me know what you think of all this news in the comment section down below. I'm sure I'm going to have quite a different mix of comments. I'm sure some people will be fan of Peyton, but also like Maggie, like myself. So it's a bit of a difficult situation. But I think most will agree that it wasn't necessary to do this, since they could have kept Maggie, as she was already quite an older actor than Claire. But let me know your thoughts either way in the comment section down below, guys. And also leave a like on this video if you did end up enjoying it, as it really does show your support for the channel. Be sure to follow me on social media, guys, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. Links will be popping up on the screen around here or in the description down below. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.